The officials of the University of the Philippines Diliman asserted that red tagging is considered a threat to civil society and freedom of expression.
They are not denying that they want the president out of Malacanang, but conniving with communist rebels is not part of their agenda.
We are identifying you.
Does that seem familiar to you? Well, it should be, because it is one of the most prominent issues during the Duterte administration. Red tagging is the practice of labeling individuals, groups, or organizations as communists, leftists, or terrorists, often without concrete evidence. In the Philippine context, red tagging is typically carried out by government agencies, military forces, or pro-government groups. Civilians, particularly activists, journalists, students, teachers, and indigenous leaders, human rights defenders, and political opponents have become the most frequent victims of red tagging. These labels are frequently issued without evidence, leaving victims exposed to harassment, surveillance, and even physical harm. With this, the panopticon theory introduced by philosopher Jeremy Bentham and later expanded by Michel Foucault offers a compelling lens to understand red tagging in social media. The panopticon, a prison designed where inmates can be constantly observed without the knowing when they are being watched, symbolizes a form of surveillance that controls behavior through fear of being monitored. Social media platforms function similarly. Civilians, especially activists and journalists, often self-censor due to the constant threat of surveillance, harassment, and red tagging. Through social media, state actors and online trolls can monitor individuals' posts, tag dissenting voices as enemies of the state, and launch coordinated harassment campaigns. This creates a digital panopticon, where users are aware they are being watched but cannot determine when or by whom. Stuart Hall's encoding-decoding theory provides a valuable framework for analyzing the complex dynamics of red tagging in the Philippines. The encoding process carried out by government officials and their allied media construct a specific message that frames activists and critics as enemies of the state. However, how the public decodes these messages varies depending on their ideological stance. Some individuals accept the government's narrative, while others question it or reject it outright. Just by constantly red tagging an innocent individual, it could make a bigger societal impact, considering how being vocal about criticizing the government could lead to a life-threatening situation. It violates the personal rights of an individual by tarnishing their reputation, as well as being a violation of the freedom of speech. The 1987 Philippine Constitution protects the right to free speech, which is enshrined under Article 3, Section 4 of the Bill of Rights. Additionally, this is also a violation of Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, or ICCPR, by undermining individuals' rights to express their political opinions freely and to advocate for causes they believe in. Moreover, from a deontological perspective, red tagging would be unethical because it violates basic moral duties, such as the duty to respect individual rights and the right to a fair trial. Red tagging often targets individuals based on political beliefs without due process or evidence. It can lead to unjust accusations, violence, and persecution, which are inherently immoral regardless of any potential benefits to national security. From a utilitarian perspective, red tagging is likely to be deemed unethical because its consequences, fear, violence, harassment, and persecution often result in significant harm to individuals, communities, and society as a whole. These harmful outcomes outweigh any potential benefits that proponents might argue, such as national security or stability. We are always taught in class that whatever we post in social media can be used against us. But does that have to limit us when criticizing a government that is obviously using their power to oppress us? Remember, when the freedom of those who speak up is silenced, the truth becomes a casualty, and civilians are left blind in the shadows of unchecked power.